You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always are my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And we are fresh off the Electric Festival. We're all back in our nice little, places of residence. And I think this week we have a new airplane to talk about. So we're pretty excited about that.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, we do.
I know, right? Did you guys get any flying done this week, or?
Not me.
No,
it's been raining, and that's been like crazy.
Yeah, it rained up here in Arizona as well, believe it or not, and it got really cold.
I feel like global warming is actually happening.
It doesn't feel like warming though. It's really cold here. It was really cold.
Colding.
Today was nice.
It's global colding.
Colding. That's good.
Global colding. There you go. So,
well, I got to say, in Texas, spring has sprung right here, because that's what I spent this week doing, was just cleaning up around the house, raking up the leaves. The grass is starting to grow, or I should say the weeds are starting to grow. And so I've been out there raking, hacking, burning, everything you do in Texas to get your lawn or around your house.
Well, there you go.
Up to speed.
That's awesome. Well, before we get started on the Park Flyer Podcast, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
"3D Air Adventures, adding fun to the RC hobby, one layer at a time."
Feeling weak and powerless? Sounds to me like you need A-Power batteries. When someone needs the best, they always choose the A-Team. A-Power batteries. Get on the web and get yours today.
Welcome back to the Park Flyer Podcast. We appreciate all your support, and we appreciate our listeners as well. So Jay had an interesting week, from what I understand. You got a new airframe. So
I did.
Okay,
so
I have to apologize because Jay had a birthday recently, and normally I post on the website, hey, everybody wish Jay a happy birthday. And because he was down here for a little bit after the Electric Festival, I totally spaced it. Although I did send him a birthday gift, I forgot to post it on the website. So I apologize. So if you're listening to this towards the end of the month, happy birthday at the earlier this part of the month. So,
hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, it's kind of funny because some other friends of mine on Facebook, of course, they post on there, hey, happy birthday, happy birthday. And so I wrote, when I was writing everybody back, basically my reply to everybody was, is it a bad sign when your wife doesn't buy you a birthday cake, but my dog whose birthday is like a day after mine gets a birthday cake? Is that a problem?
Yeah.
Maybe she just had like a timing issue.
I don't know.
Maybe she meant it to be yours, and then it turns out it was the dog's, or she's like, I missed it.
It was a bone marrow cake. Let me tell you, it was disgusting.
Okay,
so
yummy.
When I bit into it, I was like, oh, my birthday cake.
Probably what did happen, Jay, is she got you a cake, but the dog ate it before anybody knew about it, and she just sort of played it off as that didn't happen because she didn't want you to be mad at the dogs.
Right, and that's the way I found it too. See, I had a birthday cake sitting right here, but the dog ate it. So
okay.
That's how I would have played it off.
Okay. Well,
and in my case, that won't be an issue.
I'm starting to wonder, my
birthdays
aren't as, festive as they used to be. It just seems, like I said, the dog, he's all dressed up and he's, hey, bring the cake. And I'm like, what? Why am I bringing the cake for the dog?
You know what it is, Jay? It's because, that hat that she puts on the dog when it's his birthday? You won't put that on. And so she's like, you're no fun. And, at least the dog puts the hat on, right?
Yeah, well, he can't. He doesn't have thumbs, and he can't, say no.
There's that.
You
can
can't do anything
though.
with no opposable thumbs.
He could bite her, yeah, if you wanted.
I guess he could, but
so Jay's birthday, he got a couple of gifts, and one of them was special. We're going to give a shout out to Scott. He's one of our listeners and lives fairly close to Jay, and
he's one of my neighbors.
Yeah, and so we appreciate his patronage. And anyway, he found out, and he's been listening to the podcast. And Scott, we appreciate that. But he wound up actually listening to an old episode where Jay and I were talking about our Tuffwings. And one of the things about our Tuffwings is that we absolutely love them, but they don't make our model anymore.
No.
So
not at all.
And they're made in Texas as well, right? Just down south of San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. Down in Bernie.
So anyway, we've kind of crashed ours a couple times, and Jay has once or twice. And Jay has, put his back together. I put mine back together. I think even Mike, you put yours back together. And they fly great. We absolutely love them. They're a combat type wing made from a company called Tuffwing. And but he's kind of moved into the FPV side, as far as I know. Yes. And is making more FPV profiles. So Scott made a phone call on Jay's behalf and actually wound up with a new airframe from Tuffwing.
That's true.
Now, if I remember right, he's also starting to do racing wings. Is that what you said, Jay?
Right. So he no longer makes the 32-inch wingspan Tuffwing that we have and we love. So now he produces something called a spec wing, and it's a FPV racing class wing. And so the wing has to weigh so much. The wingspan it's 34 inches, has to have a certain type of motor. There's only like one or two motors that you can have. The prop can only be like 6'3" or 6'4" for the prop size. You have to race it with a 22. You would love this, AK Mike, because it can only be a 2200 milliamp 3-cell battery. To do the race
that's
with.
Awesome.
You have to have a certain amount of for the FPV gear. They have a couple of classes of gear that you can have. And that's just to keep everybody the same, the weight class the same,
So it becomes about flying as opposed to about the plane.
Right. So he has this class of airframe, but it's definitely done in the Tuffwing style of, and with the features that we love about the Tuffwing, as opposed to other EPP wings. One of the things I really liked about his wing was that he would cut out everything for the spar and some of the other structures would already be pre-cut, where other wings that you get, sometimes you have to cut out all the space that you need for your gear or whatever you're placing inside the wing. Mm-hmm. And it really speeds up how quickly you can put the thing together. But this wing took me, I took my time. I want to say just, an hour or two, in the evening, half paying attention and watching television. I want to say I got it together in two nights. But really, if you sat down and, knocked it out, you could easily do it in less than 2 hours. So, it's pretty simple. There's maybe one or two things I might change about it if I was to build another one. Not to say that the building of the wing or what he suggested is wrong. I just found it very odd to work with some of the things that he did. So what do you guys want to hear? How I put it together? What?
Well, yeah. I mean.
Oh, okay. So basically,
hey, I got a new airframe. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
That's our show, folks. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. I had a fun time.
So basically the wing, it comes just like the old Tuffwing does. He has the shuck that comes with it, and that's, I guess he, when he cuts it out of the block of foam, he hot wire cuts it out, and then you have the actual wing that gets cut out, and then you have the piece that's the outer piece. The inner piece is the wing, the outer piece is the shuck. So he ships the shuck with you, when you get the plane. Right. And the shuck's important because you need to have the shuck when you glue the two wing halves together, and when you're kind of putting some of the electronics and other things that you're putting into the plane. It's a lot easier because the shuck sits flat on the table, because it came from a square block, but you're cutting an airfoil out of it, right? So if you were trying to put it on the table, it would be all goofy and not sit right. But when you put it in the shuck, everything lines up, everything's square. And
It
just makes
fits
it a lot
like
easier
a
for-
mold, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah. So when
Yeah.
you glue everything, then you put the two pieces together. It's more like it's sitting inside its own mold.
Yeah, it's sitting inside its own mold, so
Right.
it's a lot easier when you put weights on top of it and you
Right.
tape it down to the table or whatever. It holds everything down. So for this one, where if you remember with the original Tuffwing, pretty much you had to use hot glue, or you had to use quick grip or beacons for the center of the EPP for the wing halves to come together when you joined them.
Right.
And in this one, that's really not what's holding the wing together. There's just a small portion of the wing that's being held together, that's actually glued together. So it's a big departure from the other one. In this wing, okay, so I guess I should back up. So I don't know if you guys can see behind. That's the new wing right
There you go.
there,
Yeah.
above the green thing, and behind it's the old wing. So with the old wing, like with mine, I kind of overbuilt it, because what would happen with ours when we would crash it or have a really hard hit, the main spar, or the two little spars that were in there, we would pulverize them, right? Because they were a little thin. And in this one, he basically made it more of an A-frame. So you have a center spar, which was 6 millimeters. You have two leading edge spars, which are 4 millimeters, and then I think you have some trailing edge or something for the elevons themselves. They have like 1 or 2 millimeter. They're 3 millimeter thick
3 millimeter.
rods for those. So it has way more carbon than the original Tuffwing ever did. And so it's kind of like how I built my Tuffwing. I added a bunch of carbon into it to make it really, really stiff. And in this one, once you put the carbon in and then glue them in, the thing is immediately stiff. It's way stiffer than what ours were, which is really, really nice. The other thing with this one, it's when you go to glue everything together, I would say 90% of it, as opposed to, like I said, with quick grip or some sort of glue, it's more our favorite, our foaming glue. It's Gorilla Glue that holds the thing together. So in this one, you fill in the channels that you're putting the rods into with
Right.
Gorilla Glue. Then you get some water, and then you apply water to it to kind of activate it. So it's the technique that we use out at AZ Mike's place. Mixing it up. I wouldn't suggest adding the water to a cup, mixing it up, and then putting it in, because that makes it cooks off so fast that you don't have time to fit it, make sure everything fits together, and whatever. So for this thing, I would definitely pre-fit things, because you might have to do a little sanding. You might have to make sure you grab, because little bits of the foam when it got wire cut are still inside the groove, so you might have to go in there and run something in there to pull them all out.
Right.
But once you kind of fit everything to make sure they all fit, take them all out. I just lightly sanded the rods themselves, just to give a little something to bite with, and then I just went ahead and put a thin bead of Gorilla Glue into each hollowed out portion on, like, say, the leading edges. Pushed them in, twisted them as they went in, pushed them together, put them in their shucks, made sure they're okay. Put a little tape on them, and then I put some weights on them to make sure everything stayed down and stayed good. Let it kind of cook off for a half an hour until it kind of firmed up, and then you can kind of see where what he said to do, of course, was you just pour a bunch of glue in there, put your rods in, let it foam out, totally foam out, and then you can take a razor knife and you can kind of cut off the excess that foams out. The only bad part when you do stuff like that, of course, is that if you, depending on how much glue you put in there, so much kind of foams out that it'll still be wet and it'll go everywhere and just make a mess. So if you kind of go kind of conservative on the glue, it may not all totally foam out, but then you can go behind it, right? You put another application of glue just so it foams out a little bit, and then you have less stuff going all over the place.
So normally we, like when I did mine, I put the rod in, put the Gorilla Glue, then taped it so that if it did expand, it kind of pushed the tape, kept it going somewhere else.
Yeah, you could do that. That would really work, but I can't say that either method is wrong. They both will work.
Right.
I guess it's just up to you as for, which way you have that stuff coming out of, how much excess you have coming out and where it's coming out of. Because the problem is that when you do stuff like that, if you let it sit for like overnight, then you'll get it all dry. If you don't do that, sometimes you pull that stuff off like after half an hour,
yeah,
it's still wet underneath, and then it foams up and it goes all over the place, so your tape job did nothing.
Right.
That's what I found sometimes. So
I gotcha.
Either way will work. You just have to know the limitations and the problems that you could have with either way, with either method. But so you do that for the leading edges, then you go back, and then you put the main spar, which really gives all the strength for joining both sides together in, and same technique. And make sure you sand it, put it in there, dry fit it, make sure everything, eyeball it, make sure it looks right, push it all together, add your glue, and you just repeat that for all the portions and pieces, and then after you let it dry for half the day, half the night, whatever it is, the next day you just kind of look over it, get a razor knife, cut off whatever excess parts are coming out of the holes, and then you'll notice that like for the main spars, there's two giant holes on either side of the wings, and you might have to put more glue in there to kind of fill it in, and then you just shave it off. So you could. I just did that with Gorilla Glue, and I got it to fill in pretty nice, and was able to shave it off and look pretty good, and it gripped pretty well.
So you mentioned earlier about the center section not having a whole lot to kind of hold it together, but it's because this is the new FPV version, right? And so they had he made a bigger chloroplast section for the
he sure
FPV
did, and it's obvious that he got also. I'm going to assume that he got a laser cutter, and that he's cutting out the chloroplast with this laser cutter, because it's really done very nicely. It fits perfect. There's even like little score lines or hash marks which showing you where you're supposed to make your bends, or it outlines where it's supposed to go. This is the part that's going to touch the foam. I mean, that's going to touch the foam. So like if you're going to apply glue, you can actually see a light scoring on it to know where you put the glue for when you're going to glue it to the plane. So that's really helpful.
So it's got like
pre-crease
lines and that kind of thing.
Some stuff is pre-creased or pre-cut, and then there's light score marks on the actual chloroplast. So what I did, like I'll give you another example for the winglets. He has like a light line that shows the outline of the wing. So where they'll put when you put the winglets on, sometimes you were like kind of
you had
kind
to
of goes
see,
on like that.
Yeah, you're measuring to see which one. If I put this one on and this one's a little higher or lower.
Well, since he has these light score marks, or they're not really score marks. Like what do you want to call? What would I call that?
They're a laser mark. It's a laser mark.
It's like, okay, well, with this laser mark or watermark that's on there that you could just barely see, I went ahead and I grabbed my my wife's fine tip marker, and I just kind of lightly went along it, and I outlined where it was so you could actually see it. Right. And that, helped later on when I went to glue everything onto the plane. I saw where it was, and I lined it up perfectly, and both sides came out, awesome. So, yeah, definitely a little bit more thought was put into this particular model. And like I said, you can knock it out really, really quick. Now, the other nice part is, once again, I guess this guy has a CNC machine, or he's using his wife's, Cricut set for her
for the stickers,
stuff like that. Yeah, for the stickers and stuff. Because one of the other things that's really, really nice, so you have to use laminate, right, on these planes. That's another reason that makes them really strong, really tough. Well, in this one, he actually sends you the laminate for completing the model, and they're all cut out for you. As opposed to just giving you like 3 little strips of laminate, and then you just you would have to figure it out and then cut it all out. This is already pre-cut, and then he tells you where to place it, where to put it, where it's supposed to go, and then you just iron and put it on. Now here's where it differs. Where I did what he said to do for this one, because I've never done it before, and I wanted to see how it would turn out. So what I did for my plane back there. When I put my laminate down, the laminate will stick to the EPP, but sometimes it needs a little help. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. And what I found that helps it stick is you get a little bit of spray adhesive,
Yeah, the 3M stuff is
3M,
what I used.
3M99 or whatever. I think that's what it's called. 3M90.
Yeah.
And you put a light misting of that on whatever side you're going to be applying the laminate, and let it dry. Go put the laminate on like you normally do, and as you glue it on, it makes a really good bond to it. So for this one, it's a little different.
So I was thinking though, Jay,
that
you really aren't that sensitive. I mean, this guy could own his own Cricut thing. He didn't have to use his wife's.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
that's true.
I think you got to be sensitive to guys. I mean, because there may be guys out there with full-fledged Cricut setups that can do awesome decaling.
Well, I actually have. It's not a Cricut. It's way more than a Cricut. But
it's a Cricut Plus or something, right? I mean, that thing is
Cricut Plus,
Turbo Cricut or whatever. I mean,
it's a supercharged Cricut.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Now, I actually my Roland is a print cutter as well. So, I mean, it'll cut 30 inches or whatever. If you had a cutter that size, you could do that with no problem at all.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I had to say that. It was bothering me the whole time after you said that.
I think that he has, and
secretly
I don't know,
Mike wants a Cricut.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Brian yet. But what I think that he has is a CNC machine, and he just has a drop. They don't call it. Maybe it's a drop knife point. Attachment.
It's
CNC.
It's a cutting knife.
Yeah. And I think he just has that added onto that.
I bet he
CNC
calls it Zorro.
Zorro?
Yeah,
No, well, it might be. I don't know.
He's got a Zorro knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what he has on there, or maybe it's called a drag knife. But anyway, I think that's what he has on there, and that he's cutting these out with the CNC machine, and but it's a nice feature that he has, for the setup, because everything's pre-cut. It's pretty easy. Was it perfect? Did it have to be that way? I think for people, for the first time they're doing it, it's very nice because they don't have to hassle with cutting it with a razor and, dealing with that kind of stuff. So that part's kind of nice. Now, what he was doing to help it stick to the foam was, his recommendation was, he has a picture and it shows these lines, and he says, hey, grab a glue gun, put a very light line of hot glue along these lines, along the wing, like near the leading edge, halfway down from that, and then again, halfway down from that, and then right along the trailing edge type of thing. Doing that on both sides. And then when you go to put the laminate down, then you're melting the hot glue underneath the laminate, and that helps it stick, in those places. And it seems to be working. The reason I didn't quite, I'm really nervous around hot glue, not because I've only burned myself in very embarrassing places with this stuff, but because, I live in Texas now. So if you go out on a hot afternoon with the plane that you put together, around 11 o'clock and go fly, and then you wonder why your plane fell out of the sky.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, because, the black plane that you had that looked cool didn't hold together once it, sat in the sun for 10 minutes.
Right.
And I was thinking the same thing might happen if I have it sitting out in the ground, that it might start peeling because now the hot glue is releasing from EPP, not that, the actual laminate it would be lifting from the EPP. So, I think if I was to build another one, I'm probably going to go back to my 3M glue and spray glue and put some of that down.
So you can really test it this summer. Just throw it up in your windshield while you're at the field. Wait till it, roll the windows up, throw it in there, or send it over to me, and I'll put it in my windshield. And then right about 35 minutes later, we'll go fly it and see if it still hangs together.
Right. So so that was the only part.
I think you could probably just pull on the elevons and then find out right then and there. I mean,
yeah, you could do that too.
You wouldn't have to fly it to crash it. I mean,
in fact, that was one of the things that he talked about in the instructions, was that to make sure you put the hot glue on the elevons, because it was going to help stiffen up the elevons with the glue, because that's where, on this model compared to ours, the elevons on this one are super uber thin. Where ours were fairly thick and stout, on this model, it's very, uber thin. And by putting the hot glue on either side of this thinly cut EPP, it already has a 3 millimeter rod that goes through it, but by doing that and adding with the hot glue with the laminate, it was supposed to help stiffen that whole thing up, and it seems to be doing okay. So, it seems to be standing up to everything.
Can't wait to hear how it flies. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't be able to tell that until start bashing it, and we'll find out how it's turning out and everything. But so that was like the big difference. Now the only thing that another thing that I don't like about the doing the hot glue method is just because the when you're ironing the stuff, you tend to pick up, when you go to smush it, you're putting it down along the edge, right? Since you don't wrap it, you wrap it in a couple of places over the leading edge and stuff, but like along the elevons or along certain parts of it, it doesn't wrap around to the next side. So you tend to squeeze the glue out. So you'll get the glue and it gets on your iron, and then you put that back down on the laminate. Now you're putting the glue on top, and now it's getting sticky. And
that sounds like something I would do.
Yeah. Do you think that's because you put too much hot glue down, or do you think?
Oh, he only used like 7 or 8 sticks. That's probably not too much.
That's right. What do you mean?
I used 2 bags. I don't know why you said
6 or 7 bags. So yeah.
Oh,
so
you mean he didn't mean to lay out those sticks along those lines? I see.
Lay them out and then roll it over, and then
and I had to get a big iron griddle,
cut them in half, and then put it in your sandwich,
like
maker.
Slim Jims, putting them down in right.
So
that's
so
the
really
only,
if you did use the hot glue way, and I mean he lives in Texas, so I mean I guess you'd assume he
right. So
had done some testing
he wouldn't be
or
telling
something,
you, right?
But what he's saying though is. Because here's the thought I had in my head when you were talking about it, is you put the glue down those lines, and then by the time you're done with all the lines, it's dry and cold on all the early section. But I realized when you talked about ironing it, well, of course it's going to heat back up again because it's going to be these beads of glue that are there.
After you put the lines down, then you put the laminate on top of it, and then you iron it.
I mean, I'm pretty quick, so I got to catch up on these things.
He's a quick study.
Buddy.
I am a quick study. Yep.
But so it's just weird, and then once again, okay, so
I'm as fast as Luigi is. I'll be honest with you.
So once again, what's when he says put a thin line? What does that mean to you?
It means not more than like a coffee straw.
Right, but everybody's definition of a thin line is
a little different.
Well, mine's right though.
Yeah, that could be. But
why would you think it was any different?
Yeah, why would you question me?
What I'm saying is, as I was laying down what I thought was a thin line, and then as I was letting off the glue gun and stopping, I'd get like a blob, at the very end or in the very beginning when I started.
Oh yeah, you got to start all over once that happens.
Well,
true.
The problem, when I went to go iron over it, I would have that blob underneath, and then I'd be like putting the iron on it. Like,
see what I mean? I mean, you cause all kinds of problems for yourself. You just can't stop.
Exactly.
Jay. I mean, I don't know what you're doing over there. I probably should have been helping you do this part.
Should have been.
But definitely doing it wrong. I mean, I think.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Heck yeah, I was doing it wrong. No, but it definitely made it a little tougher in spots with those little blob spots or just where I got a little heavy-handed.
Right.
It just was a little bit more difficult later on with my iron to I was ironing everything out. So, like I said, is it terrible to do it that way? No, but I think if I was to do it again, I like the 3M spray because it's just quick spray. Let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then you can go ahead and iron everything on.
You know what, Jay? I could probably let you borrow my my glue gun. I have I have an extra what I call a glue magazine. It's got like 12 sticks that you can put at any one time, and so that when one stick runs out, it just sort of jacks in the next one, so you don't have to like stop to reload.
Really?
No.
Okay. I was like, I've never seen that before.
I saw that coming. I really did. I was like, oh my gosh, he's actually swallowing that hook, line, and sinker.
Well, because Mike he doesn't with such a straight face.
I did.
Yeah, he did do it.
But now I have to. I think I'm gonna have to figure that out. Like because I said that, I think I'm gonna have to figure out how to engineer that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like somebody. I didn't know like Black & Decker They make a glue gun.
I think we could do a 3D print on a thing, and just we could jack up on our own thing and put a little spring in there that puts those glue sticks in there.
Works like a charm.
And in fact, I think it's Ryobi. They make a glue gun, but it's a cordless. It goes to the cordless packs.
Yeah.
It plugs it in. And,
I think their glue sticks are like 3 feet long or something. I mean, they're big.
Yeah,
I don't
are
think
long.
they're 3 feet.
They're
but
like
they're
12
very
inches
long.
or something.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Jay, is that having done the I know, right? Having done the glue stick and the laminate, which do you think, or what do you feel holds better?
Well, I don't know yet because I haven't had a chance to, ask me in a month, after I fly this thing for like a month or so,
right?
And expose it to weather,
right?
Slamming it in the field a couple of times, and then I'll be able to really make a determination. Like I said, this may work absolutely fine,
right?
And it's a good quick, most everybody has a glue gun, right?
Sure,
so you don't have to go out and buy extra glue or spray adhesive.
So what I want to know is how many flights you're going to take before you actually do what I would call the nosedive test.
It may be the very first flight, maybe the nosedive test.
Really?
Like.
Because you just lose control of it? The nosedive test, into the ground, straight into the ground.
Yeah. Bounce it off the ground.
Yeah, bounce
don't
off
do that
the ground
on the
straight
first
in
flight
to see how tough it really is.
I
assume that's from bad flying, though, if you're doing it as the first flight.
Right. So this particular model is a non-FPV. It's a non-racing plane. Okay. Because when Scott was ordering it from Brian, he told him that that he wasn't going to be using it for FPV flying. Okay. So Brian the nose is 3D printed.
Right.
And so once again, that's something new because if you remember the old Tuffwings, everything was plywood cut out,
right.
Out of plywood.
Yeah, it was all wood and stuff.
Do you think that's ABS or PLA?
I don't know. I don't know if he was which he's using for because now all the mounts, the spacer for the motor that comes with this, it's 3D printed. The mounts are 3D printed.
I'm muted.
What else? And the nose itself is 3D printed, but the nose is made out of TPU. And TPU, folks, if you don't know, PLA or ABS plastic is more like a typical plastic that's in your car or something. And TPU is a flexible material or rubber-like material. And so you can squeeze – that's this right here. This is a nose. This is the FPV nose. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, we can.
It's kind of whitish.
Yeah, it's kind of whitish.
There you go. So now you can kind of see behind it.
Yep.
Right there's where the camera slips in.
Yep.
And there's a hole.
Seriously, you can't do that later?
But you can kind of squeeze this.
Uh-huh. It's kind of rubbery because it's TPU.
It's kind of rubbery and stuff. So I got a solid nose like this. So like I said,
I have a solid nose too.
Right. So when you normally put the wings together, we would glue them together. So now there's a hollow space where this fits in. So you have to glue this to the side of the to the wing and this to the side of the wing. So it's a little different. Yeah, kind of like that. We're like this. So anyway.
I know, right? In case if you're not watching the YouTube channel, please go and subscribe. But it's pretty funny to watch Jay put his two fingers. You put it this and this.
So it's like this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha.
So so it's definitely a little different in that fact, because like I said, this is a racing. This module, the nose is like a racing pod, so that's kind of cool. But just a little different for putting it together for that. Like I said, I just put this on with quick grip to hold to the EPP wing and hold it in there. Once again, the guy suggests that you pretty much hot glue this whole thing together. So, I didn't do that. But anyway, so that's
because why would we follow the instructions? I mean, that's not what we do.
Right.
We never do that.
They're just a suggestion.
Yeah,
right?
They are. They're more of a guideline, really.
More like a guideline, just yeah.
Yeah, more like suggestions, guidelines. We don't, we don't need those.
So
maybe
I don't even remember it coming with anything. I already knew how to do it. It just,
right. So the big pluses on this are there's lots of carbon in this plane, which that's a big turn on for me. The more carbon, the better. It comes with the laminate, so that's one less thing you have to go out and buy because I have plenty of laminate in the house because I have other planes, so. But for people who are buying their first one, they may not need a big roll of laminate, So that part's really nice. So I think this plane's going to fly pretty well. I haven't put a watt meter on the motor just yet to see, what I'm getting out of it in wattage. But, I can fly both this on 3-cell and a 4-cell, so I'll try both.
So
But,
the question I meant to ask earlier was, does it go 100 miles an hour?
I don't know. Supposedly it's supposed to go at least 100 miles an hour.
Well, there you go. We'll have to just have to track it and see.
This is a great first plane for people, right?
Yeah, because it's a 100 miles an hour airplane.
That's right. Any plane, the 100-mile-an-hour Cub, right?
Right.
Yeah. So no, this is not maybe a third or fourth plane.
I'd agree with that, Jay. Flying a wing is a brand new experience. I remember flying, and of course, I flew that 24-inch wing, which is
that's right.
additionally squirrely to fly that thing. And I think I crashed. I mean, I'm glad it was a Tuffwing because I probably crashed that thing, 10 or 15 times before I could even do anything flying that thing at all. So yeah, these kind of wings can be a real challenge. The bigger the wing, the easier they are. They're less wonky.
Right.
And so I imagine this is what you said, 36 or something instead of 34.
It's 36.
Yeah. And so
ours were
32. Ours were 32 before, I think.
Then it's 34.
Yeah,
it's 34
so it's a couple more inches, which again just adds a little bit more to the stability. And then of course he's got the fillets at the end there, and so that should work out.
So did you go with the stock motor? You didn't upgrade it, or?
No. Scott got me the stock. He got me the stock motor, stock escape. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's set up for
that's
ESC
to you.
Sorry.
Oh,
Jeez,
okay.
yeah, sorry about the escape.
I don't know this.
Bad
I don't know
Jay.
who's, bad Jay. Exactly.
I was going to say, and then if you heard him say that word, give us a call at 830-444-4943, and
this is a family show, so if you have kids, it's milk. But this is a drinking game that we have. Anytime you hear escape come out of mine or Jay's mouth, you're supposed to drink. So if you're a kid, drink milk. But if you're an adult, you can use whatever beverage you want.
There you go.
Or if you live in Colorado,
right?
Or Alaska,
you could try something else.
You could use other legal substances that you may want to try, legal within your state.
They just sanctioned a new fish in Colorado as a state fish, is the puffer fish.
They sanctioned it?
Anyway.
Oh, hey, there you go. I don't even have to put that sound effect in.
That's funny.
So I'm really excited. So this wing seems like it's very stiff. It seems to be lighter than the Tuffwing was. And we'll just have to see just how it flies and how it glides and everything else. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to
So let's talk a little bit about your artistic liberty that you took with this airplane, because that was that was something that Jay and I kind of went back and forth on. And this airplane ships, and it's usually solid, just a white foam.
Which I love because, as you know, Mike, that was my favorite color for most of my planes.
That is your favorite color, mm-hmm. and I know that Jay had suggested that we just give it to you just white and let you fly it.
Because I could.
At least. But Jay, kind of had some ideas and gave us a few, and so we kind of worked on it, and he sent me a few photos, and I know he sent it to you too, and he's like, "Hey, guys, what do you think of this?" So
Jay, that S is backwards, man.
Yeah, that 5 is upside down.
I'm a little dyslexic. I'm sorry, Mike.
So anyway, tell us how you got the inspiration for this particular stuff.
So I was what comes with the kit. Once again, you get 2 stickers. You get a number and a what would you call this? A
shroud or some kind of a surround.
Shroud or something is what you get. You get this one, and then you get another one for the right side.
It's upside down, but yeah, there you go. Okay,
there you go.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 stickers that you get with it.
Nice.
And although they're kind of eye catching, I kind of was just looking at it because it was just sitting against the white, the white of the EPP. And I was just like, man, it just needs something else to make that pop. And so I was thinking about what I could put underneath it or over it, to kind of help it out. And I have this transparent tape that's actually what's taped on. There you go. On this one right here, that's the other Tuffwing, with the red and the black there sitting there. That one's totally taped up. So we put tape, just overlay the tape on top of the laminate. Right. So I took my orange and I took the sticker. So you know more about this, Mike. What kind of sticker is that? Where they have the two, the sticky part's still on the bottom of this, but it has stuff that goes in the top and the bottom. And then you peel them off, and then you lay it that way. It allows you that you can lay it down.
Yeah.
And
So
place it.
the sticker, they make the sticker. It has a backing adhesive, and then they put a transfer tape on top of it. So that you
transfer tape. That's what I'm thinking of.
And the transfer tape is clear, so you can line it up where you want, and then you press it on. And then you peel the transfer tape off of it, and it leaves the sticker on your product. That way you don't get fingerprints and everything all over the glue, and it lays pretty nice.
Right. So the nice part with that transfer top that was sitting on top of this, I was able to take the orange tape, lay it over the top of it,
right?
See how how it outlined it, and then I was able to make my cut marks,
right?
How I want it to go on the top. Peel that off, carefully peel that off, put it somewhere where it wouldn't get stick to anything.
Right.
Then I took the sticker itself. Once I peeled off the bottom of it, then I took my top part, laid it out on the wing itself, the orange part, I put down first, and then I could carefully line everything up,
right,
and put it over the orange till everything lined up, and then I could, push it down to really make, seal the deal. And then I was able to, put this orange, sorry, it's upside down, put the orange over top of it, and voila,
So the orange is underneath, or it's on top?
It's underneath.
It's underneath. And it's just two strips of orange tape, or it's actually cut out in that shape?
It's several pieces kind of put in to make it fit.
Put in?
It's not.
Okay.
It's
that
not,
makes sense.
It doesn't run the whole length.
Right.
It just goes. It just goes in the parts.
Just so it would be exposed in the right places.
Right.
Right. So I did that, for the top and bottom, and then, like I said, after talking to you guys, you suggested putting, the actual another part of the orange tape. I had some thinner stuff, inch, just half inch that I put on there just for.
I just felt. I mean, he asked me about that, and I told him. I said I just felt like if you put something a little closer, there was so much emptiness between the two stickers on the wings that it just kind of blended it a little bit better on the when you kind of put it in there. I felt it gave it a little bit better look.
So the other thing, as you guys know, I like to make my, wings sparkle and really, catch the light and, do all that stuff. And this was just so plain on the bottom. So I have this marking tape,
reflective,
kind of like sign decals or
it's reflective tape.
Decals.
Isn't that like emergency flooring? Things like don't trip over a step or something.
That's exactly what it's from. So I went ahead and added that onto here, and as you can see, it catches the light ever so subtly. And I just wanted to have something that you could definitely tell, top to bottom,
right,
top.
Right.
Looks totally different. So
it'll be interesting to see how it shows in the shade, because we painted a lot of planes and we've done a lot of different coloring with planes, and usually when the bottom is on the bottom where it's flying level overhead, it's sort of dark there.
Yeah.
And so some of those colors don't even come out. Like I remember having some like a hot pink color on the bottom of my plane, and it flew it overhead and it's like, okay, it just looks like a big dark black, bottom.
Yep.
Right.
And then you turn to the sun a little bit, and I'm flying away from myself because now the sun's shining on the bottom. Right. I better turn the other way or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the sun.
Yep. Yeah, and you're absolutely correct, right? So us looking at it right here, you're like, oh man, you're definitely going to see this, and like you put it up there. Once again, now if you have it at 400 or 800 feet, you're like.
We don't recommend anybody flying above the inappropriate.
400 feet is the max.
I don't want the FAA to get you.
Yeah.
So, and then of course on the wingtips, I have this holographic tape. It's actually this particular tape is actually supposed to go on helicopter blades. So you can see them. Yeah.
Right.
So,
what's the round black sticker you have on there?
Oh, they came with the motor. The motor had a bunch of stickers, for the motor and, for that sponsor thing. So I thought, Racing Wing.
You're shilling for the motor company.
Yeah. Yeah. So I put them all over. And there's a couple of square ones that say T Motors or whatever, and I put them on there too.
Very cool.
So, so that's pretty much it. So like I said, the big pluses, I like all the carbon in there. I like the pre-cut laminate. I like the scoring, the way he. I guess I should show you that. So for the cover, for the Coroplast cover, so once again, I could tell that this is all. It seems to be all laser because it's it's really defined close for the way it kind of goes around. Plus, then you can tell where to apply your glue. Now, heat, once again, this is a little different. One of the things that he had you do was you put the laminate on first, then you put this cover on. Well, I put the cover on, then I put the laminate. And the reason I did that was because I don't like the idea of gluing the chloroplast to the laminate because there's a chance that the laminate will separate and then your top will come flying out and all your guts and batteries and everything. So I just glued this to the actual plane.
Where's your sense of adventure, Jay?
Yeah, I know. The other part that's really cool, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's little holes, little vent holes.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Go across the whole bottom of the plane so that once again, this is all laser. I'm assuming this is all laser cut. So it allows ventilation that comes in there. But this is the bay for all your, if you were flying the FPV version.
Oh, for cooling?
This is where you put everything.
Right.
The actual, you're supposed to use a electronic speed controller for like drones and stuff, and then you're supposed to, if you can see that little
zip tie
thing, zip tie. That's where you're supposed to put the electronic speed controllers right here.
Oh,
on the
gotcha.
outside, supposed to the air. But because I like having a brake on my stuff, and if you're going to be gliding this, and just I'm not racing, right? So, and it makes sense because if you're racing, you have the motor on all the time, right? You're not coasting and just gliding around.
Usually full throttle all the time. So
you're going full throttle all the time, so it makes sense that you use one of that type of electronic speed control.
Everybody drink, just to be sure.
Hey, man, there you go.
So
for
mine, because I'm going to be gliding around and doing whatever, I went ahead with a typical airplane style electronic speed control.
And if you're stuck out in the woods and you need a strainer, you could use that to strain your spaghetti.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true. Or water,
Yeah, or your ramen noodles, whatever you got.
Ramen.
I mean,
it's all about survival.
It's all about survival.
So, like I said, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you weighed the difference between your.
I have not.
Okay,
and you can't use mine. You can't use mine to weigh against.
Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Mine is. No, you can't.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is that you're about to go made in this airplane. You've been flying that heavy thing around. I'm just interested to see what yours weighs versus what you're about to go fly.
Well, we know it's not apples to apples, Jay. I mean, that's not.
No. That's what I thought you were saying.
No. He just wants you to
the
compare it.
No.
Yeah,
I know that when you flew my wing after flying yours, you were like, "Whoa, this thing is really, a lot lighter than yours."
Yeah.
Well, not a lot lighter than what I'm used to, and this thing is even probably lighter than
Jay's,
what I have.
You could probably do it in 40-mile-an-hour winds without even worrying about it.
Easy. We've flown them in a hurricane.
Solid. Yeah.
So
not a problem. Okay, well I'll check that out. But overall, it seems pretty nice, and hopefully we can get Brian on the show if I can get hold of the guy. It seems that he's always busy, so.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
So either me or Scott will get hold of him and try to get him on the show for our next one because once again, I like to talk to the guy about how he came up with the stuff.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, I'm interested to hear the flight report. I know that you were supposed to do it today, and either weather or something got in the way. But we were hoping to have it done before we recorded this. But it looks really good. I really like it. I appreciate Jay taking the time to include us in on the build because he definitely sent a bunch of ideas and said, which one do you guys think is the best? And we kind of talked about it and came up with a solution. So, and Scott liked it. I mean, he gave it to you. He's seen it, right?
He said it sucked. He's seen better.
Good. I mean, no.
He's like my 5-year-old nephew could have done better than that, dude. What were you doing? Did you stop drinking when you were putting that plane together?
That's funny.
No, Scott liked it. He thought it was cool.
Well, maybe you should send his nephew over next time to help out.
That's it.
That's right. His nephew could build it next time.
Send it
Get
over.
Get some crayons out and just go crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, before we kind of wrap up our show, Mike got something new too, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a 3D printer, an Android 3D version 2.
Dun, dun, dun. Not one, but two.
Another listener of ours, Doug Leroy, gave me some extra parts that that you really want to have
Sure.
when you build this thing, because it's, just some, they're not like required, but they just help. But they've done a really good job with the version 2 to change some of the problems that it had initially. And then I know right away I upgraded the firmware with the JYERS version of the Marlin software, so that it had some manual, because I didn't have the mesh leveling stuff, and I'm doing it manually. It allows for that sort of
Now,
feature.
this thing is bigger than the first version.
Oh yeah, my other one's 100 by 100, I think. Well, 100 by 100 by 150 or something, and this one's easily twice that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yours is 220 by 220 by, I want to say 250.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. So now I can make bigger parts, and part of this is so I can build Eric's models.
Eric's models, that's right.
Yeah,
Eric
Eric's
with 3D
models.
Aero Ventures, one of our sponsors.
So I've been trying to build other stuff so that I don't, spend time building a wing that's not going to work because I don't have it dialed in. And so I've been building other things. And that's been fun, of course. Doing things I have never done before, making up parts from other people's parts. I think that's probably the most fun I have with it is, I haven't built anything for my planes on my printer yet, but I have done it for my planes with Jay's printers. And so I just, as I come along and do this stuff, there's more and more things that I find I can do with a 3D printer that work for my planes. Like I want to circle back, I think we talked about this before, on the X-19, and build parts for that I can use.
Explain to our listeners what that.
The X-19 is a model that that kid built. I remember his name at the moment. It's Foam and Tape. I think is his name online. And he built, it's a sort of a quad Harrier type of a plane. And so I tried building one, and I got it to fly a little bit, but I was still new at flying quads and just dealing with
and we built it. Was up in Alaska when we were doing indoors.
It was,
and we'd bring it in and we'd do some hover tests and
do
some
hover
other
tests,
stuff.
And it just wasn't working right, and most of that was because really things weren't mounted properly. Maybe stuff wasn't square enough. I mean, I don't know how he did it.
I think the word is jankety.
Yeah, jankety is definitely what it was. Definitely jankety.
It wasn't working.
We joined up things,
but I learned a lot about how to get things straight, and what was important, and how do you, and with 3D printing now I can make mounting holes for the bearings that the deals that turn the motors are in, and I don't have to worry about cutting the hole right, and I worry about the hole getting
right, because I remember it was a lot of wood and balsa wood, and then just kind of putting stuff.
Now I can make mounts for the motors, and I can do all kinds of really interesting stuff that will work better.
I was thinking about one thing with that plane that you brought it up. And one of the things that it worked, which was the turning mechanism, right? So it's hovering, and then you're supposed to be able to go forward or back.
Yeah.
It would use a servo to kind of make it go back and forth,
Right.
and then the control rod would be different, and this and that on one than the other.
Yeah.
It was just all a mess.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, I saw this other video where a guy was using to do the turn mechanism. He was using gears.
Yeah.
And so therefore he didn't have to have a full-size servo to move against the torque. He could use just a regular 9-gram servo or smaller servo to save
and
the
it
weight.
makes for mounting and dismounting easier as well.
A lot easier because now you have this moving a bigger wheel and rotating and
all that stuff.
All that stuff made it so much easier now to 3D print this. That
so you can make
now you can do that whole power pod section. So that'll be awesome.
Yeah. So I mean those are the kinds of things that will change in that build, and can still be light. Eric's proved that you can even use the lightweight PLA, or I suspect that the PLA that we have will be plenty light.
Oh, and for that particular model, probably just the PLA that you normally use will be fine because, like I said, you're using.
As long as I don't get too crazy with it in terms of
what
I make
you're
parts
using it for structure, motor mounts. For that stuff you want to print out a straight
in fact,
PLA.
For that matter, that's a good point, Jay. I could probably make like a quad body printout to mount the rods and all the other stuff. Now I have this main quad body,
absolutely.
and then from there I can just put the plane underneath it, and it becomes a different maybe it's not the X-19 looking thing, but at least it becomes something that will
I
fly.
think it's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Anyway,
Sounds like it's going to look awesome. So I wish you the best of luck.
We'll just have to see how it goes. So vibration was the biggest enemy I had.
Right.
Oh yeah,
right.
It was. I remember that.
Yep.
Hey, so AZ Mike, have you been able to go out to the field, or what have you been doing?
No, I've actually had some personal items come up, so I haven't actually got to the field. My kid's back in town, and so we found out, that he was moving back in, so we kind of went down and spent a little bit of, a couple of weekends with them. So,
They're
but
moving
yeah,
to
I need to get
Arizona?
back
Is that what you
out.
just
Last
said?
time I went out probably 2 weeks ago with Barry and flew the turbine. We had a good time, so it was fun. But I haven't been out this week. So.
So you didn't go to the park or anything like that with the guys?
I had. That's a good point. I had my doctor's appointments.
Gotcha.
For this week and next. So, for those of you that didn't know, I was in the hospital in December for COVID, and the doctor or the FAA requires me to kind of go get some testing. So I
Get a
did
special
that.
test.
What's that?
Get a special test.
Yeah, special testing. I had to do some breathing testing and some other stuff. So it was in order for me to get back online and flying, for work, I have to go through some of these tests. So that's kind of what I've been busy with, and I haven't really dug everything out of my trailer since we went out to the Electric Festival. So,
All right.
But and I've been kind of keeping tabs on you with your wing build, so that's been pretty exciting.
Okay. Well, like I said, next week hopefully get out and do a little flying. In fact, Scott told me that he's got a new glider coming, so I'll probably be reporting about that as well.
Very cool.
And like I said, Scott flies a little helicopter, so we may have him on the show a couple of times to talk about some helicopters.
That would be
So,
helicopters. I don't know anything about helicopters.
I know that's why we need somebody who does. So,
man, those things. I have one, but they usually scare me.
Yeah.
Because I actually have to fly the helicopter, and then I have to rebuild the whole helicopter after I fly it. 'Cause it's usually. I learned more about helicopters when I bought my first one, and I'm like, I'm not very good with it. So yeah, Scott, I'd have to watch him fly, but those things make me nervous.
So one of the things, this is sort of a different thing. You talked about helicopters, and it made me think of different planes. Jay sent us that video of the guy who 3D printed a bird or an eagle or something.
Oh, no, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
that was
that
pretty
eagle.
cool.
Yeah.
That was really neat.
So I saw, the thing flew great too. It seemed like
it did.
Real fast, and it seemed to be, it only was a minute or two of watching it fly, but it was still pretty cool.
Yeah,
and,
it was definitely worth it.
The paint job was spot on for sure.
Yeah, that paint job was amazing. That's one thing that really surprises me, and even with Eric when he came down and brought his airplanes, and I saw it up close, and that, what did you call the soft PLA? Is that what it's called? The soft
GPU?
Stuff?
Lightweight PLA.
Yeah, lightweight PLA that looks like a foam kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the way it accepts paint is amazing to me, because you wouldn't think. I mean, I've dealt
plastic
in the past. I've dealt with ABS type plastics, which are oil based, and they won't take paint for nothing. You paint something on it, and then you just touch it, and it all flakes off. But the smoothest coat. I mean, I was really impressed with Eric's paint on that Chipmunk and how smooth it looked. I mean, you would have thought it was aluminum underneath. It was so smooth. And, of course, I know he sands all the lines and everything out of his, but it just was truly amazing. I'm really impressed. And
now, perfect segue from what both Mikes were just talking about. The guy who made that eagle, who was demoing the eagle that he 3D printed, Eric's going to be on the show. Well, not Eric per se, but his plane is going to be on the show.
Cool.
The guy's going to build one. He's going to build. Just had a brain fart.
One of the planes.
The Chipmunk or the Infinity Wing? The Infinity Wing.
Infinity Wing, that's it. I was just looking for it. This one.
There you go, the Mini Infinity. That's
so
funny.
he's gonna build and fly his Infinity Wing on his YouTube channel.
His YouTube channel.
Pretty interesting.
Well, that'd be awesome. So we'll have to check that out. So.
Absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, our time is arrived. It has gone by super fast. Once again, we'll give a shout out to 3D Aero Ventures and thank Eric for all the hard work and sponsorship that he gives us. And if you're looking for a 3D printed airplane, head on over there and check it out. I'm sure we'll hear Mike's new printers getting worked out, so we're excited about that too.
I'm gonna print one of those little small planes. It's a micro.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm gonna print one of
Nothing
those
wrong
out.
with that. Start small, work your way up. That's just the way it works.
I mean, 100 hours is quite a commitment. So
yes, it is.
I'm not sure I'm ready.
Especially
for that.
on one printer, because
Right.
remember, he said 100 hours. He's got a printer farm going on.
Yes, he does.
He probably has 7 or 8 of those things all going at the same time.
That's right.
So, yeah, if you put it on one printer, it may take longer than that. But we're excited to hear about that. And, Jay, we're excited to hear about your maiden flight on this one.
That's right.
You have to give us a heads up on that. And if you're looking for batteries, head on over to rcbatteriesusa.com. Type in PFPC10. See if they'll give you a discount for the Park Flyer podcast. And I think, Eric, if you go to his website, you can type in Park Flyer and get a special discount for his 3D files as well. So.
Great.
Well, wow, this hour went fast, and man, we appreciate your listening, and we hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks. So from Arizona, I'm Michael.
And from the hills of Texas, I'm Jay.
And this is AK Mike in Texas.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.